Hello everyone, it is Jayden and welcome to The Alpha, the show where we talk about the hottest topics in pop culture and sports. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button on the video, and if you enjoy my commentary and myself truly as always, be sure to tap that subscribe button and to hit that notification bell to get notified when all my videos go live. I love you guys so much. Peace, love, and positivity always, y'all. See ya. Has been a whole lot of controversy, discourse, a whole lot of just... what is the word I'm looking for right now? The most polarizing topic in the movie industry right now, in the comic book industry, any way, fame, or fashion that you would like to categorize it as, is Man of Steel versus Superman. You got the Snyder Bros, and I'm going to reiterate it for the 1000th time on this podcast. You got the Snyder Bros, you got the James Gunn lovers. You're either on one side or the other. You can't meet in the middle, okay? Because you're going to get chewed out either way. If you like it, they're going to say you're a shill. If you don't like it, they're going to say you're a hater. I'm referring if you didn't like the Superman James Gunn movie. So we're going to get to an article. So the official box office, we're coming to the end of the theatrical run for Superman because of the digital release, and not a lot of people are going to the movies like they did it in the past. So there was an article written by Variety, and it was pretty much comparing Superman's box office run so far in comparison to the Man of Steel. And we got some official numbers right here, and we're going to get with it right here in the article. I don't think I even pulled up the right article, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think I did. I do not think I did. Oh, okay. Here we go. I actually did. Yay. All right. So this was written August 17th. So it was written over the weekend, last weekend. I want to say this was written on Saturday. I think Saturday was. No, this was actually Sunday. Over the weekend, Superman added 3.1 million overseas and 8.4 million globally. At this point, Superman is unlikely to surpass the haul of the character's solo outing in 2013's Man of Steel, which flew to, no pun intended, I'm going to say it for, $670 million, not adjusted for inflation. However, and we're going to get to the whole we're going to get to the whole injustice for inflation crap because it's so annoying, and I we'll get to that later. However, the film's reception represents a positive step forward for DC Studios, which was greatly struggled in recent years to achieve commercial consistency with its various comic book adaptations. Up next are Supergirl, Clayface, Super Family Movie. Okay, whatever. That is pretty much the gist of it. So we got an overall look of Superman's Man of Steel, specifically Zack Snyder's Man of Steel, had 670 million overall in its theatrical run, not adjusted for inflation. I think if they're saying if they adjusted it for inflation, I think it made like north of $900 million, I want to say. Because the reason why they say not adjusted for inflation, because we got to pretty much think about it in this lens. Tickets were, and I think they showed the graphic, tickets were essentially $8 back in 2013 to go watch Superman, and now to go watch Man of Steel back in 2013, tickets were roughly $8. Now tickets to go watch a movie now are roughly $15, $16, depending on what type of way you watch the movie. I know right now in my hometown currently, movie tickets to go see the movie is like $13, $14 without, ticket fees and taxes and all that. So I know I went to go see Superman actually with my cousin in Wilmington. And the ticket prices there were north of almost $18. So that's what the adjusted for inflation means. So they're essentially, it made $670 million in its economic era with the $8 mark. So they're essentially comparing what if the ticket prices were the same, it could have made north of like $900 million. But we see essentially where we are at. We are at the point to where James Gunn's Superman, I think it is getting ready to cross the 600 million mark this week, or if it just crossed it this weekend, it's going to get to the $600 million mark. But it is not, given that the stupid idea by James Gunn and them, I don't know why they did it. Although, you know, I was ready to watch the movie again. I didn't want to go to the movies to go see it because my nearest movie theater is literally 45 to an hour. But they released the film on digital prematurely, very prematurely. And I said it in my last show, and I was sitting there like, why? But anyways, I digressed. So given that, and it's just getting crossing 600 million, and you know, it's 5 weeks in, it's very rough to see it getting 670 million. It is virtually impossible right now at the moment. I think Luis Fernando, the guy who does all the box office stuff that I read, I think he's saying 640 at the most, but he's really saying like 605 to 620. So it's definitely not going to reach the 670 million mark that Man of Steel ended up producing. So we're not going to sit here and bore you with the numbers. Let's pull up the lower third. This is going to be the topic, and this is why you all guys are tuning in right now to watch. All right. Moment of truth. Okay. I'm going to choose. At first, when I was writing this up, I didn't want to choose because I enjoy both of the movies, okay? But we're here for the controversy. We're not here to satisfy. Okay. A Superman fan, a DC fan, a DC lover. Jayden Strickland, tonight, at approximately 10:13 Eastern Time, he is going to pick which film he enjoys more. Man of Steel or James Gunn's Superman. Now, a little disclaimer, okay? I'm not a Snyder bro, and I'm not a James Gunn lover, okay? I was right in the middle. And when I went to go see the movie, I thoroughly enjoyed myself. James Gunn's Superman specifically, okay? But, you got to think, I'm only 21 years old. At the time in 2013, I was 9 when Man of Steel came out. So Man of Steel was like a Superman that pretty much resonates with me because it was the era I grew up in regarding Superman, okay? Brandon Routh, even though Mama's got pictures of me as a kid wearing his costume. Look, I love Brandon Routh, but his movie was nowhere near as better than Man of Steel. But I have a special place in my heart for Henry Cavill and Man of Steel. But I went in with an open mind and I enjoyed James Gunn's Superman. And I am very, very, very pleased with what David Cornsweet did. Controversially, I kind of might have enjoyed his Superman better than Henry Cavill's portrayal of Superman, but I still enjoy Henry Cavill, just the guy. But we're not going to get that deep into it, ladies and gentlemen. But I'm going to basically give you which film I enjoyed the most, and I'm going to pick. And a lot of this has to do with rewatchability. Which movie would I rather crack on a weekend with the family and friends? What movie would I rather watch? Let's go ahead and get to my, soliloquy for each one. I enjoyed both films, but I enjoyed certain aspects more than others. Specifically, let's get to just David Cornsweet, just a little nugget here. I grew up as a kid, specifically, watching these, Justice League, the animated series. Justice League Unlimited, the animated series. Superman, the animated series. Even Batman, the animated series. So that is the era of cartoons that I grew up in. I even watched a lot of the animated movies that DC released at the time. So I had a infatuation with the Superman in the animated universe at the time. That was my Superman. And David Cornsweet's Superman and his portrayal of Superman was literally Superman the animated series in live action. and I loved it. I loved it. Um, it just felt straight out of it. When I watched it, it just felt like it was the animated version of Superman in live action. I loved it, and I think David Cornsweet knocked that out of the park. When people were doing their first initial reviews, they were like, "This movie here is Superman the animated series right out of live, in live action." I was excited, so that was something that I enjoyed. But let's move away from David Cornsweet's Superman. No. What should I do? Let's just go ahead and get to James Gunn's Superman. Let's just go ahead and do it. Since I'm already talking about David Cornsweet, let's just get to David Cornsweet himself. I enjoyed his Superman, as I just said. He felt like Superman. That's the kind of tone I'm looking for Superman. Heartfelt. Even though there's a whole lot of controversy about David Cornsweet's Superman being weak, I understand where people are coming from. But still, I feel like James Gunn might get just... He's going to take fans' opinions on this film, and I think that we are going to see Superman be a whole lot powerful going forward, but we're not going to... I cannot use that in the context of this because we're basing it off of the movie. Me personally, would I have liked David Cornsweet to be more, I wouldn't say more powerful, but dish out more punishment in this movie? Yes. I would have liked that. But sorry guys, I'm over here getting that error. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. Okay. I don't know why it's saying that. I think we're good. We're good over here. Yeah, we are good over here. But I think it probably done that because I was shaking. But anyways, so I done lost my train of thought. What was I talking about? Okay, I got it. So I enjoyed David Cornsweet's Superman, but I just wish he was able to dish out a whole lot. Yeah, that's where I was at. I just wish that he was able to just dish out a little more punishment because he was just getting beat up a very whole lot in Superman. But I still don't want to use the term that he is weak. I just felt like, and I tell everybody this, the last act in Superman, just that moment where he's, fighting his evil counterpart, his Ultraman, and you got the scene with him just defeating Ultraman, and he's going to go fight the Lex Luthor little henchman or whatever. You got the scene with him fighting them and doing the laser eyes twirl around. That was amazing. I wish we could have got a whole lot more of that in the movie. Just more of that, and that's what the movie was missing. So that is my only major negative right now, and it is something that just bumps the movie down for me just a little bit. I wanted to see more of just Superman dish out a little more punishment, and he done that. He done that later on in the film, but I just wish we could have got it just a little bit early on, specifically with the fight right there at the beginning with the Hammer of Baravia. Yes, we found out that it is his clone. Okay, it's pretty much Superman fighting Superman, but just I'd like to see him get just a little quick punch here, just not go. You started the movie off with him getting his butt kicked already. He gets healed up, and then he flies back and get his butt kicked again. And it's just a minor nitpick for me. I'm not making a big deal out of it like everybody else on the internet seemed to make it out to be. But that's just something when it comes to just David Cornsweet Superman that I didn't like. And the little moment that he had at the end of the movie with the quote, when I first watched it, it was just a little corny for me. I don't know if it's just how it was written or the way David Cornsweet delivered it. I just think it, for me personally, was how it was written. The little final speech for me is like a mixed bag. I kind of love it and I kind of hate it at the same time. So we're just going to leave that alone. But let's just move on into some other things that I enjoyed about James Gunn's Superman. I prefer this Lois Lane and Superman combo over Man of Steel. I really do. Rachel Brosnahan and David Cornsweet's chemistry was absolutely perfection. It is what I wanted to look for in a relationship when it comes to Superman and Lois. And it was one of my another gripes I had with this movie. I wanted to see more of them on screen. Not enough of Lois and Superman. Not enough. And in a sequel, I want them to be able to just expound on that because their chemistry on camera, Rachel Brosnahan, they were just so good. That is something I prefer in James Gunn's movie over Man of Steel. Something else I can say I prefer outside of one character, supporting characters. Everybody in the Daily Planet was amazing. I enjoyed them way more than I did in anybody in the Man of Steel. Perry White, I kind of enjoyed James Gunn's Perry White just a little bit because he was laid back and cool and he was funny. Jimmy Olsen, obviously, even though Jimmy Olsen wasn't in Man of Steel, we know that Jimmy Olsen was in Batman versus Superman. You see how they did that. That was absolutely dog crap. But supporting character, Miss Terrific, Guy Gardner was a shocker for me. I ended up enjoying that. I want to say that's pretty much it. Metamorpho, he was okay for me. I don't really care for Metamorpho as a character. And Hawk Girl, she was my least favorite character in the whole movie. We're not going to go down that road. And Lex Luthor, obviously, I enjoyed Lex Luthor. I kind of enjoyed the villains pretty evenly in both movies. It just depends on what type of taste you like. Obviously, General Zod was like this just absolute boss, giving the Superman the absolute just run for his money. He felt evil, more evil than Lex Luthor. But Lex Luthor was just like, just because General Zod was a god, and the way Zack Snyder portrayed and wrote his character, it was like Thanos level type of menacing. But, James Gunn wrote Lex Luthor in a way that was satisfying for me. Felt menacing, infatuated with Superman. I enjoyed Nicholas Holt's portrayal of Lex Luthor. Easily my favorite. Preferred it way much more than Batman v Superman's and Henry Cavill's Lex Luthor. So I enjoyed the supporting characters more in this movie. The tone. I think this is the tone for me. This is my Superman tone. I prefer this tone in a Superman movie. What James Gunn had, the comic booky, cartoony feel that this movie had was what works for me. Could James Gunn just cut down just a little bit on the corny jokes and just the comedy here and there that is just super unnecessary when it don't need to be there? Yes, specifically with the lines with Lois and Superman and Clark having their little one-on-one emotional moments. You'd get a corny joke at the end of it and some other serious scenes that were in them. Just cut down on that. It would have been absolutely perfect. But I love just the comic booky feel that this movie offered. So that is pretty much all. Now let's move on to Henry Cavill and the Man of Steel. I prefer the score of that movie. Now I love both. I can't say that. I have both of them downloaded on Apple Music. Even though I have been playing James Gunn's Superman score more because it's recent and it's new, and I've listened to the Man of Steel score for years now. Love all the scores for both of these movies. But I prefer Man of Steel's better because it's just Man of Steel's score. Hans Zimmer just did an absolute masterclass with that score. I can name the songs at the top of my head. Flight, What Are You Going to Do? Krypton's Last. I can't think of the other one, but it's on the top of my tongue. I can't think of it. Arcade. I think this is the name of it, Arcade. Yes, I listen to these songs on the regular, okay? The instrumental, just the score of this movie, Man of Steel, top notch, best score ever made for a superhero film. I don't care. Argue with your mama. Better than any Batman score, and I even love Christopher Nolan and Hans Zimmer, the score he did for Batman. Better than that. Better than the Star Wars score. It's just absolute peak. Okay, absolute peak. Beautiful score. Visuals. The visuals in this movie was way better. And CGI. Visuals and CGI can go in one lens. I thought the CGI and the visuals for this movie was a whole lot better than Superman for me. The way just Zack Snyder shot the movie, although it wasn't super colorful like James Gunn's Superman was, but I really enjoyed the visuals in this movie, the CGI, the first flight scene, all the action sequences. We know one thing with Zack Snyder, okay? Everybody might not love his storytelling, but my gosh, can the man film some action? Like, the guy is just born and bred to film action movies. The man he's just exceptional. He's exceptional at filming action, and he done a absolute superb job with Man of Steel. So that was a whole lot better than James Gunn's Superman. I like the origin of Superman better in Man of Steel. I'm still not a huge fan of the route they went with James Gunn's Superman and the whole secret harem thing with Superman, and they sent Superman to be, to rule over the earth. I know a lot of people said that's been a comic book run, and they pretty much adapted it based off that. I get it, but it's just not a personal preference for me. I like that. That's the beauty of Superman's character for me. Both parents have a pretty much nice influence on his life, and he's going to go out there to do good for humanity, living off the values of both Krypton and Earth. That is something that is essential to the Superman character for me. So I'm not a huge fan of the whole change when it comes to Superman's origin for me. So I definitely prefer the Man of Steel origin. Lastly, something else that I prefer, and it's not that big of a deal, the suit. I prefer Zack Snyder's suit. It has nothing. I'm not a huge hater of David Cornsweet's suit like everybody else is. That's not me. The only thing with James Gunn's suit I hate. I don't like the S. I don't like the Kryptonian emblem that he chose. I don't. Or crest rather. I don't like the crest that he used. That's just me. That's my personal opinion. So, after all of that, putting two and two together, from enjoyment level to rewatchability, I have to honestly say, and I have to honestly say, if I were wanting to rewatch one, it is tough, y'all. It's tough. I enjoyed both of these movies. I really did. But just for rewatchability, nostalgia for me, because I feel like this movie has just aged like fine wine, given what the DCEU ended up being. I have to say that I would probably want to rewatch Man of Steel, but it is very close. If I had to prefer, if somebody was holding a knife at me and saying you have to choose one, I'm probably going to choose Man of Steel. But from just an objective lens, from a fan's lens, I would definitely rewatch both. I can embrace both because I like both of these films are different and they offer different perspectives of Superman. So if you enjoy this perspective of Superman, go watch this movie. If you're in the mood for this perspective of Superman, go watch this movie. Because I do. I think the only thing for me, I would probably just steal from a personal standpoint. I enjoy the tone, specifically the tone of James Gunn's Superman more. I just feel like if it was more just a more standard Superman story without all the supporting characters, just taken away from the Lois and the Daily Planet sort of thing and aspect from it, and just really declined away from just the. And I don't want to say that because I enjoyed the Mr. Terrifics and Guy Gardners. It's just still, they really just take away from the film just a smidge for me. I just wish I saw the potential with Rachel Brosnahan and David Cornsweet and the Daily Planet and all of them, just the chemistry. I think we really could have got a great Superman tale, just a classic, a super classic. And it was just a missed opportunity for me, but hopefully they'll get in the future. But if I had to pick and choose, I would rewatch Man of Steel. And it's kind of just a bias. It's the first, essentially the first Superman movie that I was introduced to. My first Superman movie was not Christopher Reeve. It was Zack Snyder's Man of Steel. It holds a special place in my heart. I enjoy Henry Cavill. He's the Superman I grew up with. And I think ultimately what propelled this movie for me was the CGI, the visuals, the score, just the you know the just the first flight scene alone will give you goosebumps. Now there's three specifically goosebumps moments for Superman, James Gunn's Superman. The opening flight scene with the in the movie with with him flying through Antarctica. Um the the whole scene with the kaiju with the music playing in the background, you had that. The final battle. Those were like goosebumps moments for me. But just that, I just seeing Superman just feel powerful, in that movie and the fight scenes and all that. That's what propels it for me. I definitely do not prefer that tone of Superman for me because I never cared for Zack Snyder wanting to make Superman feel like this godly character. I just the Jesus and the religious aspect of it for me, even though I don't get that deep into it like other people do, because other people want to think this movie is like mocking religion and things of that. No, it's not. I didn't like the fact that he was portraying Superman to be like this Jesus like character. That's my only gripe with it. But I do prefer. Um, I do. If I don't prefer, I would watch rewatch both. But I can say that if I had a knife held to me and if I had to rewatch one, I would rewatch Man of Steel over James Gunn's Superman. But they're both great movies. I'm glad they were made. Superman content. Superman fan, top three favorite characters of all time in the comic book genre. So James Gunn did an absolute wonderful job. And I wish that we could have this logical conversation like with everyone else, like I'm having with you guys. I'm not out here slandering one film. I have likes and I have dislikes about both films. Okay? But I came with a reasonable explanation. And I gave you guys the movie that I would essentially want to rewatch. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. It's a little fun. I need to come up with some more topics like this because this was very entertaining for me. Just pretty much yapping for essentially 27 minutes about just Superman. It's fun. I need to do some stuff with this with like the MCU and things of that nature. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know all your comments down below. Did you agree with me? I know I'm going to absolutely hate to see these comments in the next couple of days. But yeah, I want to know all of your comments down below, guys. What do you think?